Thank you for joining us. This is the second presentation in the USC Leonard Davis School of Gerontology's webinar, An Insider's Look, the Range of Home Modifications and Decision-Making. Our second presenter is Kat Garrell. She is the co-founder of Thrive for Life, LLC, which is the only residential accessibility consulting firm in Hawaii. She is a proud graduate of the University of Southern California's Chan Division of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy, receiving a Bachelor's of Science in 2001 and Master's in 2002. Kat completed USC's Executive Certificate in Home Modification program in 2011, and since then she's been performing accessibility assessments and identifying barriers to function and access for clients with disabilities across private, state, commercial, federal sectors, and also internationally in Guam and Australia. Her medical background provides a unique problem-solving perspective that we will hear about today. I'm delighted to pass the webinar on to Kat.
Well, thank you very much, Emily. Aloha, and I'm excited to share some of my insider's knowledge with the group today, and also wanted to let anyone know that I'm available. I love being a resource to the community. At the end of the presentation today will be my email address, and if you have any further questions or just want to kind of troubleshoot some programs or clients that you're working with, I'm happy to be available for you. I'm a licensed occupational therapist. I've been practicing for 18 years, and I noticed that there was a disconnect when I would discharge my patients home from the hospital and make recommendations for home modifications, widen doorways, ramps, install curbless showers. And oftentimes I would check back in with them or do home care therapy, and they would be paralyzed. They were unable to even get a contractor started. They didn't know where to begin. So sometimes these families, it just was too much for them, and that's when I recognized I needed to start a business and really follow my clients from start to finish, working with contractors and the families and landlords, and really making it a seamless process. So I'm going to share with you today some solutions. We'll go into cost and decision making. I'll go into some of the specialized accessibility equipment available, ramps, and sometimes there's just a modification of the task where a client will come in and ask me to go out to the home, and they'll say we need a ramp, period. But there's other solutions available that might be cheaper than a ramp or easier for their caregivers. So not only am I looking at my clients, I'm also looking at their caregivers. How old are their caregivers? How is their health? Are they able to transfer their loved one or their client into and out of the shower or bed? So these are all scenarios that we're looking at when we go and do a home modification assessment. So this case, I just wanted to start with a case to highlight the importance of using a healthcare professional when you do work in home modifications, especially the more complex cases where somebody's had an injury or an illness and they're declining. On the left is an example of actually a health plan paid for a home modification. They asked the client, he was a young 20-year-old recovering from a spinal cord injury. They asked him to go ahead and find a contractor to do the work, to get 3 contractor bids and provide them with the contractor with the bid. And as you can see, the contractor that was selected, he did a nice job. There's a curbless shower. The back chair on wheels is in there. But what the contractor didn't think to ask, which we're not expecting our contractors to ask about the medical outside of what their clients are needing. But he didn't look into the bowel bladder program of this client. And so basically, he has what's called orthostatic hypotension after he has a bowel movement, feels really dizzy, lightheaded. And so to combat that, part of his bathing routine is to go to the bathroom before, and then they roll him into the shower and elevate his legs. The elevation of his legs helps combat the orthostatic hypotension. Now, the contractor finished the shower, signed off on the project, and then the client started to complain to the health plan because his legs did not fit inside the shower. So if you look at the back chair on the left, if it was facing the shower fixtures, he was actually so tall that his legs didn't fit elevated. So his caregivers switched the task, put his legs outside into the shower floor, and put a plastic chair there for his legs to be elevated. And when they called me in to fix this case, the client had been complaining to the health plan that the contractor did the project wrong, that his legs needed to be elevated, that when they were elevated outside of the shower, the water would run the wrong way. So the bathroom floor was actually sloped down the hallway, and so the water, when he was bathing, would go into his bedroom, and they had all kinds of complaints of water damage. Now, when I went back, I did an assessment of the client. I looked at how tall he was, how long his legs were, and I tried to modify the task to see if we could not have to redo the shower, but in fact we did. So on the right is a 5-foot by 5-foot shower that actually fit him with his legs elevated. And so the health plan went back to us, to me, and asked about this project and said, had they used me in the beginning at the start and we'd done an assessment, would this issue have come up? And I said, absolutely, it would not have come up. I would have assessed my client and looked at what his needs were and designed the shower to fit his needs. So through the years, we've been able to make some partnerships out in the community with the VA and the Department of Health for the state of Hawaii, and then a number of health plans that have Medicaid level patients. There is a home modification benefit, but they recognize that they do need to follow their clients from start to finish, and that's something that I'm doing out here in Hawaii. So we've created what we call a 6-phase home modification process. It begins with a functional assessment where I do a clinical assessment on the client as well as their caregiver, and I present to the team, if it's a health plan paying for the home modification, good, better, and best options, small, medium, large solutions to the problem with cost estimates. And so then it's a group effort, and a decision is made together as far as what we can do for the home modification. Once I'm approved to move forward with a home modification, and the health plan or the family would decide what budget they have and what area they want to proceed, I do what's called a feasibility study with building plans. I do the design specifications and work with architects and draftsmen. At that time, that's when I work with them and ask them what's feasible in the existing space based on the medical needs. The big take-home here for you and your teams is to really help create one design for 3 contractors to bid on. What oftentimes happens is 3 contractors will come out with 3 different opinions, and then you get 3 different costs and apples to oranges, versus one design is really going to help streamline the process. I stay with my clients for permitting. I write up a letter of medical need and have their doctor sign it to expedite permits. I follow during construction, so I make sure that the contractor is following what the design is during construction, and also make sure that my client and their caregivers are safe during construction. So if they have respiratory issues, or also oftentimes it's just one bathroom. So as part of my design, it's where are they going to bathe, where are they going to toilet during the construction phase of the project. So that's a consideration. Post-construction assessment or post-occupancy evaluation I do at the end. Oftentimes I don't allow the contractors to be paid their final 25% until I go out to the home and do a final assessment to make sure that all of the little things have been completed. I sign off and do caregiver training at that time. So I'm just going to go into some accessibility equipment and solutions that a lot of people don't know about or are unaware of. So this is a lightweight temporary ramp. Instead of, say, installing a permanent type structure, these types of ramps are about 20 pounds. They fold up and can be moved to the side of the home. This was for a gentleman whose wife is homebound, and he's strong enough to push her up and down that slope. We actually went out to the home and practiced a couple times before issuing him this temporary portable ramp system. But these are good also for people who don't own their homes, or maybe say a hip fracture or a total knee replacement where maybe they're not able to do stairs today, but later on they will be, and so they don't want a permanent option attached to their home. Vertical platform lifts are oftentimes something I look at if the ramp is longer than 20 feet. If we have a ramp that's pushing 20 feet, the cost of a ramp in that range becomes almost more than a vertical platform lift. These vertical platform lifts can be about $15,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but they really can reduce the cost because ramps start to get upwards above $20,000. And so the vertical platform lift also is easier for the caregiver and the client because it's just a push of a button. So on the right, you can see there's a metal piece, platform, and the wheelchair would roll onto that, and the client would push the button, and it would push the platform up to the level of the top of the stairs. And the vertical platform lift on the left photo is the same concept, just taller. Stair climbers are another option that people some are unaware of, where they ask me to go out to the home and say they absolutely need a ramp. And again, if the height is going to require a ramp that's 20 feet or longer, then a ramp is going to be extremely expensive and more than what a stair climber can be. Stair climbers attached to the wheelchair attaches to the stair climber, and then the caregiver moves the client or their loved one up each step. Now the stair climber has a motor, and it's able to manage the weight of the client, so it still requires an assessment of the caregiver to see if they have the coordination and cognitive skills to understand the sequencing of this type of piece of equipment, but it's a great option, especially again if they rent their home or it's more of a short-term solution, or here in Hawaii we have homes on sides of mountains, and there's just no other option. There's these tiny staircases, and we've used stair climbers quite a bit over here. The seated chairlift is again another one where I'm called out and the client's already asking for a chairlift, and that's oftentimes because these companies market heavily to the elderly population, and so they are only aware of this option. Just keep in mind, as an occupational therapist, my feeling is these types of chairlifts don't follow our clients all the way from end-of-life type scenarios, where if your trunk control declines, or if you're no longer able to stand, pivot, and transfer, here you've installed an expensive chairlift, and then maybe later on in life you're not able to use it because you're not able to stand, pivot, transfer. It also requires a walker or a wheelchair at the bottom of the stairs and at the top of the stairs, so those are another cost to consider. So other options, instead of installing a chair lift, might be more expensive, but it will follow somebody from the progression of their illness or their life. So there's fancier type of lift systems. These are interior wheelchair lifts where you can roll in and then push a button and get up to the second floor. Ceiling transfer lifts are another wonderful option available. I know cost is a concern. They do get up there in cost of probably $10,000 to $15,000. But the flip side is this unit here. This is one of our clients out on the Big Island. He has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. His wife wanted to return to work, and he actually had pretty good upper extremity function. So this ceiling transfer lift has a motor. It had a remote and a motor that he would wear around his neck. And so he could actually call the lift. The ceiling truck would come over his bed, pick him up, and then he would push the button, and it would place him over the toilet and into the shower, basically eliminating the need for a caregiver, and his wife was able to return to work. So they really wanted to use this system to follow him through the progression of his illness, but then also allow his wife to go back to work. The sliding shower commode transfer system is another great option for people who maybe rent their homes or maybe cost is an issue. These systems will, if you look on the left, it's a commode chair, and that can roll over to the hospital bed or the wheelchair where they would transfer into that chair on wheels, and then that can be pushed over the toilet. And then you can see in the middle and slide to the right that there's a track system that will actually slide the person into the tub shower. So again, this is a great option if you don't want to remove the entire tub shower and you want to gain access maybe more quickly, because bathroom modifications can take a while. Pros and cons, definitely would have to be able to lift the caregiver's legs up and over the tub. So everything's a consideration. There's typically pros and cons for all of these solutions, and that's why you just need to go through those with your clients and their caregivers, and simulation is really important too. Well, portable shower systems are another option available. I have clients who they live in the living room. They are just not able to get into the bathroom. Their wheelchair is too wide. The bathroom door is too narrow. They're not able to get upstairs. Maybe it's in a home where the upstairs is the shower and downstairs is a half bath. They're living in the living room, bed bathing only. These options, it's like camping. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to set up, but it hooks up to the kitchen faucet. And then there's a motor at the bottom that sucks the water up and into the kitchen drain. So these options, you would be able to, the flooring of it actually pops down, so you could roll somebody in, pop the flooring back up, and then you have a shower. Not ideal, but you have a shower in the kitchen. And again, skin integrity, bed bathing is not ideal. So if you have somebody who really needs it to get routine showers in, this is a great option. And so a story about this one is I had funding available. Funding source said, "Yep, we get it. We're gonna buy this for your client, but would you mind getting a denial letter from the health plan?" And once we get that denial from the health plan, we'll go ahead and fund this portable shower system. I wrote up a letter of medical need, got the doctor to sign it, submitted it to the health plan just for fun. I said, no problem, I'll get that denial letter. And for this case, I could not believe it, but the health plan actually covered it. And so just keep in mind, these things actually health plans are starting to recognize. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. This is just a success story that we were able to get the health plan to cover a portable shower system. I think they realized, too, that this is way cheaper than a full bathroom modification, and then obviously skin breakdown and admissions to hospitals with sepsis and all of those types of things are things we want to prevent. So minor shower modifications, again, I'll go there and they'll say we need to pull out the shower. There's just no way to get in at a wheelchair level. This one, you can see it on the left. It's a teak bathroom flooring. So we raised the flooring up. Actually, we didn't do this project. It's an example of the teak flooring where it raises the flooring up. There's actually slits in the flooring, so the water drains in the same existing drain. That's a pretty quick solution. Same thing on the right, not as fancy, but again, somebody could access their shower pretty quickly. Prefabricated shower systems, I have some contractors that really like these. These cut down on labor. Sloping the shower to the drain and getting a really good tile person can be costly. There are these prefabricated showers. So this is a before on the left and then an after solution. And then finally, major renovations, just kind of showing, the changes we're making for these families. On the left, you can see the dad carrying his son through an extremely narrow door, and that's how he got to the tub shower where he put his son on the ground in the tub shower. But his son would extend his legs and hit the shower fixtures, and it was just a really unsafe bathing routine. So we were able to, on the right, open up into the utility closet and took the washer dryer out and made a full roll-in shower for this family. And so I just wanted to, again, let you know that I'm available. I'm a resource. You can email me at katia@thriveforlife.com. And I think we're going to open it up for questions now.
Yes, thank you so much, Kat. That was really informative and great to hear about all these different options. There are some questions. We do have time for a couple questions. And the first one is, my understanding is that Medicare may pay for occupational therapists to provide home safety evaluations if the doctor provides an order because the patient is at risk of falls. Have you used Medicare for those clients?
Oh, that's such a great question. I'm in the process of applying to be a Medicare provider. The Chronic Care Act of it became enacted in 2019, or January 2019, and I'm still learning about it, but there is a provision there for home modifications for occupational therapists to go ahead and do a home modification assessment. And the reasoning behind that is they're recognizing that hospital readmission rates is something that they really want to reduce. So if we can, if the doctors can respond to a patient who's had a fall by providing a home, a request for an OT to go out and do a home functional assessment and provide some therapies as far as home safety, that's something that they're looking at doing through the Chronic Care Act. So I haven't done it yet. It's in process on my end, but stay tuned. We'll see what we can do. Right now, Medicare is not the easiest to bill for, but I will be working on that. So stay tuned.
Great, thank you. Yes, we're all excited about these new developments with Medicare Advantage. And the next question is, regarding the slides with ramps and appropriately designed or installed ramps, should there be a final validation of the construction by the architect or agency?
Yes, that's a great question too. The gold standard, and I really recommend all of you to make sure you can stay with your client from start to finish. So signing off, as construction begins is really can be detrimental to the project at hand. I make it a point to do project management. I go out to the site during construction to make sure the contractor's following the design. But even just giving a phone call during construction, checking in with the contractor, and then signing off on the project. If your agency will allow you to do that, then that would be the gold standard. I certainly do that with my cases, and because that'll help eliminate the contractors, as we saw on the slides with Denise, where they decided to make a ramp, and then it ended up being not supporting the client's needs. I also really educate my clients and the contractors that any changes during construction needs to be discussed, with me, but it depending on what the makeup is of your team, just really staying in close contact so that at the end, when construction is done, there aren't any big surprises.
Great. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank both of our presenters today, Denise Levine from the IDEA Center at State University of New York at Buffalo, and Kat Garrell from Thrive for Life, LLC. We really appreciate what you've shared today. Thank you so much.